Hi, and welcome to another episode of All Things Considered. It is 4:44 a.m. Minneapolis time, and I wanted to talk to you about the housing and homeless crisis and what San Francisco and Seattle kind of have in common. The article says they're getting it done. What San Francisco can learn from Seattle on housing and homelessness. When it comes to American cities, San Francisco and Seattle are remarkably similar. They're both known for their stunningly beautiful waterfront locations, their liberal politics, and the tech boom that has jolted them from quirky little left coast tourist destinations into global economic powerhouses and possible failures. The might as well be twin cities also share some less attractive qualities: high cost of living, stark income inequalities, and big in-your-face homeless populations. But the new homeless count reports for both cities show Seattle is making a little progress. San Francisco certainly isn't. Now, I'd like to know exactly where that progress in Seattle is being done, because I can't see it. Maybe I'm not looking hard enough. I don't know. The portion of San Francisco's homelessness population that is unsheltered, those living on the streets, in parks or in cars, jumped, whereas Seattle's dropped. Really? It dropped? I don't get it. In San Francisco, that figure rose from 4,353 in 2017 to 5,180 this year. In Seattle alone, not including the rest of King County, the number dropped from 3,841 in 2017 to 3,558 this year. Nobody visiting Seattle would agree that the city lacks a homeless problem, and the scenes in some neighborhoods are dire. But at least its numbers are moving in the right direction. Slowly. San Francisco's is moving the wrong way, and it's moving fast. Mayor London Breed said a few weeks ago she'd been talking to Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan for guidance. Really? They've had a homelessness problem that's been out of control for almost 20 years. Why would you be speaking to Jenny Durkan for help? Especially when it comes to building housing and homeless shelters. Look, if y'all are interested in building homeless shelters and housing for the homeless, y'all would get this shit done. You're just dragging your feet because the public outcry is there. You don't really want the homeless to be in your city anyway, whether it be San Francisco or Seattle. Y'all would really rather everybody have good money, work, not be poor or homeless. They've been doing a great job of aggressively getting more housing built in their city. Yeah, okay. And that's what we have to do, Breed said. They've increased the number of shelter beds. They're getting it done. No, Seattle's not getting it done. Y'all are just making the homeless more comfortably homeless. And I can say that because I was homeless for a very long time, and I understand how it gets. Once you become homeless, you get accustomed to that lifestyle, and once you get accustomed to the homeless lifestyle, you just stay, because after a while, you just get lazy. There's no bills, there's no restrictions, other than going into a shelter and being in at a certain time and going out in the morning at a certain time. You get dinners, you get breakfasts, you get lunches. I mean, other than the fact that it's an eyesore and it's unhealthy, why would you want to not be homeless? Breed was clearly irked not only by City Hall's notorious slow process for approving housing, but also by the so-called liberal San Franciscans who supported helping the homeless as long as it's not anywhere near their comfortable homes. And that's another thing. Shelters. Homeless get taken in at night well after everybody goes home from work, and they get kicked out early in the morning before the workers go to work. People don't mind the homeless being in their area as long as they don't have to see them. They don't give a crap. And that's what they're saying here. They don't have people suing them when someone decides to build a shelter in their neighborhood, Breed said of Seattle. clearly contrasting it with the lawsuit and Embarcadero neighborhoods filed against San Francisco to stop the building of a navigation center there. I called Seattle's mayor to learn more about the city's success in getting people off the street, she said. The biggest help has been working on housing and homelessness as part of a region rather than a standalone city. We're looking at it more holistically, Durkin said. Yeah, right. The Puget Sound Regional Council includes more than 80 entities such as counties, cities, ports, transportation agencies, and even tribal governments, all crafting joint decisions about how to accommodate the 1 million additional people expected to live in the area by 2040. Really? Look, y'all ain't got the right kind of housing for this shit. Y'all ain't got adequate housing. Put a big old sign that says Seattle is closed off. I'm sorry, if you ain't got a house waiting for you, or if you ain't got an apartment waiting for you, do not come here. The regional approach has been advocated by the Bay Area, but we've seen little progress in improving collaborations. The Bay Area Council, a civic group that has long pushed for more regional planning, looks enviously to the Puget Sound's Regional Council because it has the ability to do things at scale that we can't do here, said Matt Reagan, Senior Vice President of Public Policy. Well, I guess now I've got to contact San Francisco, and I've got to find out why they're jerking everybody's chain and why they're allowing the homeless to stay there. Y'all need to get honest about this shit. Y'all need to say, look, man, we don't want the homeless here. The homeless are here, so we're just going to let them die off. We're just going to let it get so bad that hopefully they'll move, because we don't want to be the bad guy and kick them out, but we don't want them to be here either. It's a catch-22. It just doesn't make any sense. So I got to contact the Bay Area, it looks like. He said that in the Bay Area, the 9 counties and the 101 cities and towns don't coordinate on much of anything, housing and homelessness included. That's because San Francisco doesn't want the homeless there. That's like, when you're in line and you're grocery shopping and you've got a credit card with an unlimited limit on it, and you could just pay for your groceries, swipe your card and gone, and there's a person in front of you that's buying a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk, and they've got a bunch of change in their pocket, and they're counting that change. Don't you just stand there and say to yourself, ooh, I wish this person would hurry up. I wish this person would just get gone. Why are they taking so freaking long? Man, I want to just reach out and strangle them. I do. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever been that person that was counting the change, being embarrassed, feeling like they were less than nothing because they had to count change, wishing they had a credit card with an unlimited limit on it so they could just swipe their card and get gone? But instead, they've got to put all that change on the counter, and they've got to count it out. And then they find out that they're actually short, and they can't afford to buy both the loaf of bread and the gallon of milk. Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm standing behind them, and I know that they can't afford to finish what they're paying for, I tell the register lady, without telling her, I motion for her and I tell her, put that on my bill. And they do, sometimes. Sometimes they ask me, are you sure? I'm like, if I wasn't sure, I wouldn't be telling you to do it. I've been in their position before. I understand. We all think it's someone else's responsibility to build housing, Reagan said. We all think it's someone else's responsibility to solve the homeless problem. We all think it's someone else's responsibility to do transit. And we get what we've got. Now, speaking of that, a lot of people don't talk about the low income. Now, I ain't talking about the $60,000 a year job that the Seattle is saying is considered low income now. I'm talking about the ones that are making less than $1,000 a month. That's about $12,000 a year or less. I'm talking about those people. Nobody's talking about those people because they assume that they're being taken care of, so why talk about them? Why care because they're being taken care of. You're already pissed off that your tax dollars have to cover their income. Your tax dollars are covering their rent. You're already pissed off about that. You don't want to have that rubbed in your face, and I get it. I mean, I've been on both sides of the fence. I've made good money, and now I'm handicapped. I'm on disability. I'm one of the people making $771 a month, when I used to be the guy that complained about people like me. Well, be careful what you do, because you never know. It may just happen to you. It says here, it says that we all think it's someone else's responsibility to do transit, and we get what we got, which is a region plagued by spiky homelessness, transportation dysfunction, and housing crises. Washington state law requires all fast-growing cities and counties in the state to craft plans to accommodate the population growth. Right. I'll believe that when I see it. Ranging from reducing sprawl to building affordable housing to preserving the historical buildings and parks. Governor Gavin Newsom should lead the charge on demanding all California cities address our housing shortage and homelessness crisis. At least a new California law ends in appeals for new navigation centers. So there's that. At least a new California law ends appeals for new navigation centers. Oh, yeah, okay, there that goes out the window. Even with the 20% fewer residents than San Francisco, Seattle produces far more housing, and as a result, the residents pay half as much rent as we do. Yeah, okay, well, Seattle's paying enough rent as it is, jacking up the prices, gouging everybody, and the state of Washington says, oh, we're sorry. Is the rent a little too high for you? Well, if you can't afford it, move. We're not in the business to help you afford it. We're in the business to allow people to make all kinds of money. Seattle has opened a record number of new apartments in the past year. I would like to know where those apartments are. I really would, because I'd go up there and get one of them, and I'd be able to move back to Seattle. And rents have flatlined and even dropped in some neighborhoods. Really? I don't know when this article was done, but apparently it was done before the flatline, or before it went back up. It says here, Seattle has opened a record number of new apartments in the past year, and rents have flatlined or even dropped in some neighborhoods. In 2018, Seattle's metro area built 17,450 apartments, according to the Seattle Times, and an additional 45,000 are in the pipeline. Yeah, they're going to be really expensive, and the people that need an apartment are not going to be able to get them because they're going to be extremely rich, and they're going to be extremely high, because Seattle only wants the cool kids sitting at the cool table. San Francisco added just 2,579 housing units last year, the smallest gain since 2013. The city expected to add 4,700 new units this year. The slowness is largely because our city's glacial process for approving housing, combined with skyrocketing construction costs and the city's impact fees, or taxes to offset public impacts of development that total more than $165,000 per unit. All housing in San Francisco is subject to discretionary reviews, meaning the process for approving it is long and exasperating. Even if it meets zoning and other requirements, and many neighborhoods can stymie a project along the way. That process doesn't exist in Seattle. Oh, it doesn't? Oh, really? Since when? Where projects that meet all rules and regulations can get built more quickly. Yeah, then why ain't they getting built? Benjamin Grant, Urban Design Policy Director for SPUR, said Seattle's officials have referred to the San Francisco death spiral when it comes to our city's horrible process for approving housing, or more likely, preventing it. We are used as a cautionary tale by them, Grant said. Seattle is also opening more permanent supportive housing for homeless as well as homeless shelters and other short-term accommodations. I would like to see it. I'm not seeing it. It has 8 tiny house villages featuring 328 tiny houses which have locked doors and are big enough for a bed, microwave, toilet, and sink. Oakland and San Jose have also started operating tiny house villages. In Seattle, each village houses up to 70 people. Costs up to $500,000 to construct. Really? It costs that much? For real? Oh man, you're dealing with the wrong people. You can get those for a whole hell of a lot cheaper. It says here it's $500,000 to construct and takes just 6 months to build. It don't take no 6 months to build. I know better. Y'all are dealing with the wrong people, and you got people that are price gouging. You guys are taking $1,000 and you're making $10,000 out of it. San Francisco officials have dismissed the villages because they're not long-term solutions and because unions object when their workers don't build them. Considering the crisis on our sidewalks, neither arguments against the villages pass muster. Seattle has also turned some of its old school shelters into enhanced shelters, adding the good characteristics of navigating and navigational centers like allowing people to bring their partners, pets, and belongings, and having more support staff on site without having to build them from the ground up. People can stay in them as long as they need rather than being kicked out after an arbitrary time window like at some San Francisco shelters. Well, what do you know? San Francisco is having as just as hard a time as Seattle. Well, I guess San Francisco and Seattle do have a little bit in common. I'm not getting it, but a lot of people are saying they don't want to turn into Seattle. I guess San Francisco sees Seattle in a different light. When you both are going through the same kind of problems, the one with the lesser issues seem like they're doing the better. If you like my videos, please put a big thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button, the bell. If you like my videos and you got something out of it, please put a comment down below. If you think you can add something because you either live in San Francisco or you live in Seattle, please put a comment and let me know what's going on. I'd really appreciate talking to you. If you think I should bugger off and take a flying leap and go to the moon, let me know that too. If you have a better way I can do these videos, please put a comment and let me know how. If you think you have an idea for a video you'd like me to do, please let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it. This has been All Things Considered. Have a good night, Seattle, San Francisco, America, and all points beyond.